Welcome back to the Tailosive Tech Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, there were no family emergencies. I'm happy to report this week. We're all here for the
I'm so glad I made
second time.
Did we?
You were next, Mike. You were next.
talk?
I know.
Did you guys share
I
what
jumped
happened?
over so many barriers.
No, we
What
didn't.
happened?
Okay, I'll
We
say.
didn't share what happened.
We are, as you know from background, I moved and I've announced that. Part of
He
the
lost his
moving-
legs.
Again.
Hence why I'm in a chair all the time. I'm
Yeah.
so my
I don't know what that
wife
means.
took it upon herself to want to be Mrs. Handyman, Mrs. Handy Woman, and we installed one of those over the stove microwaves. And those things are way heavier than just one of those ones that would sit on a counter. And it took the two of us, plus my brother too, at the time, trying to install.
Yeah. He's not your
And-
brother anymore.
And he's fine.
We lost him in the process.
At the time.
There's like a hooking mechanism on the wall, and it slipped, and we thought we got it, and it didn't, and it fell, and it damn near crushed her hand.
Oh no.
So she's been in a brace, but everything's fine. Her hand's back to normal.
Yikes.
But there was 3 days of like, and that happened very literally. Like I think minutes before we were supposed to start recording, I was finishing up one of the little house projects we're doing, and then that happened. I'm like, no. So I was on stage extra
Excuses.
double duty. I know.
Excuses.
Shame.
I can't believe you made all that up just to get out of recording. Can't believe you.
I had my whole left leg chopped off and I'm here, Randy. What's your excuse?
I don't.
Was it
have
a
an
smart
excuse.
microwave, though?
Yeah, actually it is. It's an LG thing where you can use your little. There's an app thing, and
What does it
I've
do?
heard some. Yeah.
I've been
does it
begging
have,
to
like-
know. What is the
I
point?
want to cook my Hot Pocket at exactly 8 a.m. every morning.
But you
So
have to
that
leave
way
it in there?
it's- Yeah, for the whole night.
O'Donnell's. Sorry, I had to do it. Sorry. Whenever I'm trying
How much time did we get into
interject, I have to do the. Anyway, to my understanding, not much. You could diagnose it from your phone. That's what I think I figured out.
Diagnose. What's wrong with it?
I haven't heard.
It
the
likes to
best
crush
things.
hands. I don't know.
It doesn't sound like a
know.
good microwave. I haven't heard the best from LG, specifically for like refrigerators, because I'm looking at refrigerators right now. Just one, our refrigerator sucks, but then two, it's I guess it's interesting looking at refrigerators at my age now for some reason. So shopping through all the different ones. I'm getting to be an old man at this point, Randy. I'm becoming you, except a little bit more bland. You're a little bit too colorful still.
As I wear all black
You
and white.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm wearing all black too. Anyways, yeah, it seems like LG probably isn't the best at refrigerators, but apparently Samsung's not bad as long as you don't put an ice box in the refrigeration section of the refrigerator. I don't know. I've gotten a little bit too nerdy with refrigerators recently by learning just what's good and what's bad with refrigerators, thanks to a myriad of different reviews and those that have business and appliance.
The freezer being on the bottom is more efficient, right?
Cold goes down, heat goes up. Yes.
I know something! What?
I
That's
never
amazing.
pieced
Or if you
that
want
together.
to cool, or if you want to cool things more in the refrigeration section of your refrigerator, then you put freezer on top, so then cold go down into refrigerator, and then heat goes up into the freezer. So then I don't know. Things are supposed to be insulated, but yes, typically having the freezer on the bottom is best for some systematic reasons. But
I was
I
told
digress.
Randy, are you going to keep the 12 mini? We need to know.
Thinking about it. I'm thinking about it.
What's the answer?
Yeah. I'm having RAM issues with, Does the iPhone 12...
That iPhone 8's going to be exciting.
Does the iPhone 12 technically mean it could do spatial whatever because the orientation of the lens?
I don't think they support it on
that
the
is
12s.
horse poop.
I think that's a software thing, not a hardware thing, probably.
Surprise.
No, there's something about the cameras having to be aligned properly.
a certain distance.
I get
for
what you're
the
saying.
Software probably. I don't know. It's one
Well-
variable that you could probably change, but then that means it probably cascades into other calculations for how you try to get the spatial video working on a software level, and to have the hardware just a little bit different from the 12s and the 15s. Just not worth it.
I mean, I do mean this genuinely, but is there not a difference? Because isn't that what we do when we do the artificial cinematic mode or portrait mode? We're using the two simultaneously, but we're only going off of the one lens. How's that any different if you're then going to film in a more 3D environment? To me, it's the same. Why is it that you can upload a photo to Facebook and it will do that same 3D thing with no data in there?
The portrait mode thing.
But why? I'm
It's the A13 chip, Randy. It's just too slow. It's a RAM issue, like you said.
Doesn't
it needs
do
more
enough.
RAM.
God. All right. Well,
It's a minimum of 8 gigs of RAM. It's the same thing with iPads. That's why they need the extra RAM for the Apple Pencil hover feature to work properly.
that's how we justify an M2 iPad Pro. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, even with the because the 15 Pro is the only one that can do spatial video, right?
15 Pro is the only one right now. Yeah.
Yes.
So with the top of the line 3 nanometer chip, A17 Pro chip, that's still only able to crank out 1080p at 30 frames a second. So I might have a point.
As well as cinematic mode is only. Oh no, that's 4K. Never mind.
Some of them are 4K. So
I'd have to look again.
I think the 13 was 1080p.
Not beer.
What is that?
Cream soda. I knew you were gonna. I already knew.
I
Cream
didn't know
soda.
that we're sponsored.
Or OG or
Oh.
something. No artificial blah blah. Anyway,
Randy, did you catch the last podcast?
I wish I did.
You definitely should, because there might be some Randy ads in the last podcast that I inserted there. No joke.
Randy ads. Oh man.
Yeah.
So
Don't look
many
them up
ads.
now because we're in the middle of one, but I
In the middle of
went
that.
a little hard on the Talos of lore for ads since we're talking about ads.
The lore.
The only ad I
Oh
would
boy.
run is my new music that came out today. That's it.
Yeah, that's a recent one. I dug
That's
deep
too
into the
recent.
chest, looked between the different crevices and containers of empty hopes and dreams to find some very shiny golden nuggets that I dusted off a little bit more to make it even more
Wow.
shiny.
Wow.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Nice to know that you guys appreciate my work. Uh,
Did you guys see that this Apple Card savings account now goes up to $1 million? Solves my problems. Whew.
What's even
This is
know-
what was holding me back.
to be fair, we did find out that you are a 1%er, Drew. And specifically a 1%er
Really?
in those that returned, and Randy is, I guess, as well. Those that returned the Vision Pro according to some studies. So
Part of
I'm
the
on a
1%.
podcast with 2 1%ers.
man?
Who would have
If you
thought?
only knew
That's
how
like-
wrong. I returned Vision Pro because I'm house broke, and part of being house broke means my Apple savings account that I dumped all my capital in, that was like cash reserve, is down to like no crap $25. So
Yeah, I'm about the same.
yeah, it's a very tight month. So
I'm at 0 because I don't have an Apple savings account. So,
oh Mike,
or is it
Mike,
infinite?
Mike.
It's both 0 and
But you
infinite,
have
so
an
I don't
Apple
have one.
Card.
I do have an Apple Card, but for credit, not for savings.
Well,
Dude, the savings account is free.
Yeah, I just haven't gone around to it yet.
that's true. It does. Randy, give him a break. It takes like 40 seconds, okay?
He's
Not
too
everybody
busy
has
digging
that
up
kind
old
of time.
lore of Talos of ads or something. I totally get it. His time
Too
is
much
just
lore
completely
going
shot.
on.
Yeah. He can't. He
I'm
can't
just
do
glad Apple's finally letting me do what I want with the accounts. You know,
that. Like
I
$1 million.
can move some money around now. Whew.
I didn't hear about that.
$1 million
that just something that popped
means
up
you would
on-
be getting out. Well, it's capped at $1 million, so but okay, wait. Is it insured for $1 million or is it insured for a quarter
Oh,
mil?
of course not.
Oh no.
It's insured for a quarter mil.
No.
What? You think Goldman Sachs is going to go under? Banks don't go under anymore. When was the last time that happened?
Before Obama. The bank crashing in 2008. I remember that. Good times.
You crashed a bank in 2008?
A lot of things crashed in 2008.
Beautiful.
I was a newly refined 18-year-old, and I watched the whole economy in lifetime tank, and I was like, oh, I better join the military and have some stable income.
Hey, that was a good call for 18-year-old you. That seemed to pay off.
Yeah, nobody took YouTube
Sheesh.
seriously. Nobody's like podcast and YouTube was like, no one's like, oh God, no, get out, like,
Yeah.
get out of my house. You can't.
I
stand
definitely don't take it seriously. But
it.
I have to ask, now that you're back from last week's hiatus, do you miss Vision Pro? Or do you feel like you're getting by just fine without it?
Oh, do you want my podcast answer or do you want the real answer?
I hope
Podcast.
it'd be both.
The podcast answer is I do miss it. I miss operating in it.
I love that.
I miss
Yeah.
operating in it. I miss just can't hear you, babe. Whoa. And it just this little thing is going on right there.
I just picture a microwave falling on your wife's hand.
And me, I'm just like, okay, about 3 centimeters to the left. To the left.
You rotate the digital crown. I'm on Mount Hood. She's screaming.
And then I immersion volume with the AirPods Pro automatically, like just A and C, and all I hear is chirping birds. Like, it's so lovely, and you're, oh my god. Yeah. I miss the opportunity. I miss the possibility of what can come from a first gen product. That's what I miss. But
Well, that's still there. The possibility didn't go anywhere.
yeah, but I don't get to experience the possibility. Like, isn't there now more windows or something you can open or something? It just came out.
I don't think so.
I thought it was a Mac device.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, I miss.
I was making a joke about Mac versus Windows.
Move this man! No.
Oh.
I literally meant you
Went
can open
over
up your
both of your
MacBook.
heads.
No, there's not multiple Mac screens at the same time still.
I miss the coming soon immersions that I won't get to experience.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No.
There were a bunch that said coming soon. I wonder what that meant.
I miss freaking people out when I FaceTime them on the headset.
Did you ever show off your persona, Randy? Because Drew, I think last week, finally showed off his Vision Pro.
I thought I
persona.
saw it on Twitter.
Yeah, it's
Really?
there. It's good to know you care, Mike. See, that's what you sound like when you talk about editing.
He's
the podcast.
taking a break from social media, okay? It's
Yeah,
for his mental
Really?
You
Because
health.
I'm pretty
listen to
sure
the
he
last
liked my
podcast then.
tweet about my Phase 4 dropping. He was like, boom, one of the first.
You obviously did not listen to last week's podcast then.
I just told
That's
you
a
I
bot,
did it.
Randy. That's it.
Yeah. Mike bot is now a thing.
But Mike just likes all our stuff. It
I'm
makes
in
sense.
the cool club. Yeah.
You know, something we should have tested, especially you more than me. You have less excuses than I do, but we should have tested AirPods Pro lossless support on Vision Pro. Did you? I know the answer, but did you get a chance to try that?
I wish I cared enough to try. So the real answer.
I haven't heard anyone's opinion yet.
Well, isn't Snazzy Lab like another? Isn't Quinn a good old audiophile? I'm sure he's got things to say about the thing.
Where's his review?
Yeah, there's a lot of reviews that are just I don't know. So here's the thing. My real answer is I don't miss the headset because I am only on my computer when I'm doing something like trait specific, podcasting, editing, producing. That's it. Literally anything else is not on my phone. Um, and that habit of getting off of the phone, it's not that like I'm trying to break the habit. It's just that like I'm not the biggest thing I do on the phone is play YouTube in the background. And so there's no YouTube app. And even if I did, it's more steps. And I like being upstairs with the family. And even when I found myself having the time to do it, I couldn't get into Vision Pro like what kind of like that? Like for example, I did the last thing I did before I took it to this back to the store was I went on Apple TV Plus and watched all its immersion videos. I watched the Alicia Keys rehearsal for her concert, whatever. I watched a girl, do a rope across two free, all that. I watched dinosaurs. Tightrope. I watched dinosaurs do things. And I was like, this is cool. Like, don't get me wrong, it's cool. But in the back of my head, I'm like, this is a lonely experience. I can't like, oh my God, guys, like it needs to have that connection. And one, a lot of people won't have that connection because it's just too expensive. Two, a lot of people don't seem all that interested, whether it's motion. Like I was getting motion sickness again. Just standing still watching Alicia Keys sing "No One," and all that, and I'm just like, hey, all right. So, and it wasn't her performance. Great voice and all that. But I'm like, oh, the whole. I tried the whole single strap one, and on my head, and like my head went numb again, and it's just every time I took it off, there's a big old goggle ring thing, and my persona sucks. I mean, like the whole thing, just like it's all kind of there. It is.
I found it, and
there it is. That's a guy. If you actually look on that photo of it, you could see the outline. I waited like 10 minutes to recapture because the first one was even worse. But there's an outline. My cheeks are red because it's holding the weight of the world on my face. And so, what you think is the forehead wrinkles? One of its, I guarantee, is a genuine outline. And
I'm pretty sure you could rock the Walter White look if you shaved your head and then scanned your whole face with Vision Pro again. There is a hint of Walter White in there.
That photo makes me look fatter than I am.
I felt the same way about my persona. Persona adds 20 pounds.
I look like I have not stopped going to In-N-Out since I moved here. And where does the neck beard end and the head begin? I don't know.
It's not, I don't think it'll ever not be creepy. Some people are convinced with the right amount of software it'll look normal, and I'm not convinced it'll ever look normal.
That's a man who's seen death. That one's not as bad. I don't like how they do our hair. I'll be honest. That's not our hair.
No, it's very much blurred. I don't think, here's the problem. Even if they had your face perfectly scanned and you weren't wearing a headset, it's everything around your persona that feels unnatural. You look like a funeral pamphlet, like.
Yeah, you look like one of your photos here.
Everything's
you
glossy
actually look like,
and you're floating. And
you look gone. You look genuinely like you've ascended to the next plane of existence. You don't look like you're here anymore. Yeah, that's them doing that. Yeah, it really does make you look fatter too. What the hell? Look at that. That is, you have done well over the last couple of years. You don't look like this.
It looks like 2018 Drew,
Yeah.
Similarities are uncanny.
I don't think the persona thing, I feel personas are going to go the way of memojis. I think they're just going to cease to exist in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Unless you're really into Vision Pro.
I would rather have a memoji persona like you do on FaceTime than this
Me too.
uncanny valley thing that's like, at least one's more cartoon caricature and you can like manipulate it and correct things. This one is just, ooh, that's not me.
No, it's not. Does Quest have something similar, Mike? Did you
It
try?
basically has Xbox avatars.
Oh
So
no.
you pretty much
Oh,
do the
that's
same
right.
thing where you put it on and it says, or actually no, it's on the app. On the app, it pretty much has you go through a setup process and then shows you your meta avatar and lets you customize
Hmm.
it. And then immediately, of course, like most uh, games with microtransactions, it prompts you, hey, you could get this jacket, but it'll cost you like $2.
I
This is
noticed that as soon as we put on the Quest, it was very microtransaction-y.
Yes, and being someone who has played games for the past, I guess, my whole life, I'm used to it,
It's
and I
like
know how to navigate away from it. But it is very much in that line of really, like,
it's
I
like you
just
can tell they're losing money on the hardware. They're trying to
yeah,
make it up through other means.
in which they are through AdSense, but of course they want to get a bit more because well, their company, money is their blood, so only makes sense to try and nickel and dime wherever you can. But it
Yeah.
it wasn't. I'd never tried the Horizon Worlds app, so I never got to see an action of other Horizon avatars running around a space.
That's good. Because you're a
So
normal human being.
yeah, and I was
Those look
just spending
terrifying.
time with other stuff. But yeah, no, not really. Um, yeah, I'm very interested in seeing where it goes though. If it becomes a little bit more of a norm, kind of like how VTubers has become a thing, where you see a lot of
Mm,
VTubers or V streamers, Hollow Lives. I'm still kind of out of
I
touch
don't
with it,
know.
but people
So
who
am I.
stream with a persona, where it's mapped pretty much to their facial reactions to do certain things.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see if that becomes more of the norm in a cultural sense to the general audience rather than just to a niche of YouTubers or Twitch streamers or anyone else. But it depends on the acceptance level and also how uncanny it is, and if people are more inclined to set it up and go for it, or if it's just
Hmm.
a fad or a quirk that you appreciate for a couple moments and then you move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Apple has a tendency to kind of take existing things mainstream. Speaking of, iOS 18 seems like there's a lot of talk, both not just from the leakers, but from Mr. Tim Cook himself, somewhat reputable leaker, claiming that they're going to unveil their generative AI features later this year. Are you skeptical, hopeful, excited, scared? What's your guys' emotions on the whole Apple's take on AI thing?
They
I think
said.
mine.
Go ahead,
Go
Randy.
ahead, Randy.
No. You go. You go. Mine's
No,
good.
you
You
go, good
both,
sir.
I gotta.
Uh,
you both.
I
Yeah.
to summarize my opinion, I just want
Apple
it
Assistant.
to be better. Like most people.
You're like, that's all I want.
Pretty much. And which
Apple
is
Assistant.
fine for everything that we use her for in my household, but it would be nice to see a little bit better uptick in utility for her so that
Mm-hmm.
it's not just turn on and turn off the lights or set timer to this, or maybe be a
I
little
feel
bit more
like that's all
context
she
aware.
does.
What I like about Google
Yeah.
is that you could just tell it to stop. I keep on saying the S word again. I'm sorry. I think I'm editing this week. I'll edit it out again. But
Okay.
with the G assistant, you could just tell it to stop for a timer, and it knows context aware that you're telling it to stop beeping at you. With
Yes,
the
that's
Apple
very clever.
one, it's not like that. And so at least that little upgrade would be a nice thumbs up, at least for me. But seeing more along the lines of, I don't know, being able to be a little bit more aware of when I ask a question, it gives me that information with maybe a little bit more stuff that is related to the context of the question, but it doesn't
Instead
feel
of,
like
I don't check the web I can
Right.
search the web for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or more of something that it could predict the next question might be, or that you might lead into later, or something that is somewhat attached to it.
Okay. Fair enough.
What about you, Randy?
I just muted the mic because I've been secretly scrubbing the podcast of last week to see what you did and where you inserted me, and I found it.
I told you not to look, but okay.
He backtraced it.
I found it. Does Drew know what you did?
I don't think he does. I think he's too busy. Oh, you do? You actually watched or listened?
They know. They just don't care. I just
I don't think
liked
he knows.
watching. I enjoyed watching.
My
I remain skeptical.
my old not a sponsored skit I did made an appearance.
I honestly tried finding the coffee one, and then found that one and realized about halfway through putting it in that the coffee one probably wasn't the way to go, even if it did exist, because then
It
we
does
are pretty
exist.
much plugging. Well, it does. It's probably privated or whatever, or it's hidden somewhere that I can't find. But I think it worked out well. Anyways, your opinion on
iOS
what
18.
generative
Well,
AI?
all you were spewing about was
Apple Assistant.
Yes.
Big picture here, okay? iOS. Somebody. I don't want to miscredit. Somebody on Twitter made a concept that I am absolutely in love with, and anything less than that, I will be let down. The stage, he doesn't work. Assuming it's a he, doesn't work for Apple. It's just a concept thing. I think that's the name. Concept. Anyway.
Concept Central.
That's it.
Chia?
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's
That was
the
my
one.
second guess.
Who was the first one?
Ian's elbow.
Oh, yeah,
He makes
Ian.
everything these days.
Yeah, I know.
But she is good too.
Dude, when I saw things that I was feeling, I just never was able to articulate and put right in front of me, like that was magical. Never mind spatial, whatever this is with your hands. Like, no, watching a 2-widget thing. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that whole this whole thing is exactly what I want iOS 18 to be, and anything less will break my heart, because it feels so attainable, because it's all the little bells and whistle gimmicky things that Android has already showed, or post moving a photo or moving an object in a photo, and we already have that when we outline something. And I've learned at some recent update, and it might have been iOS 17, I don't know, but we can grab multiple subjects in a photo if we need to. And I've subject lifted a lot of things from a single photo. I was like, sweet. So I like that. But
Did you just subject lift my child?
I would never do such a thing. So Apple has been incorporating what we call AI, whether it's generative or not. They've been doing this for quite some time. They just don't call it that because that's the Apple thing. It's not VR, AR, it's spatial computing. It's not 120 hertz, it's ProMotion. You get all these fancy words that mean the same thing, but then they get to control the narrative of it. And AI has been a part of that process, whether it's anticipating your text or I think even when things run in the background like geotagging and stuff like that, it just knows when you open your Photos app and you get those curated like memories and stuff like that. That's effectively what we now call AI, because it's just combining. The journal app is like, relive the moment when you walked around the lake, and it's like, okay, so like it's already doing that type of stuff for you, and a lot of it feels a bit primitive, I'm not gonna lie, but they're a little smug, like, no, we're not worried. Like, tells me they're cooking something up. Let them cook. Like, they're cooking something up. And of course, I'm with Mike, and everybody in the world wants a better
Apple Assistant.
like, yeah, of course, that's the the hopeful end all be all. But not just that, all the improvements that I saw in this concept were things that I would like to see. They're not deal breakers, but I would like to see, whether it's like from the volume app that you're moving, you can adjust your AirPods. Like, how do you want that to be instead of swiping out for Control Center? Anything that can reduce friction about making more additional like steps to get to the same thing. Those are the refinements I want to see. I'm indifferent. I would like to see home screen adjustments, like you can pin apps at the bottom, sure, but that I don't really care about that, as I care more about those types of refinements. Less input is, better process improvement. So, overall iOS 18, I've been hoping for a redesign since iOS 14 or 13. Like, I felt like the first 7 years was that skeuomorphic, and then the next 7 years could be that, flatter minimalist design. And now, more than anything in my life, I want the UI elements to look exactly like Vision Pro on all things. I want that glassy neumorphism thing happening more than anything, because in the elements of using spatial computing, that's just cool. That's sick to look at. I love looking at that stuff. I like the glassier design that makes me not even want to use dark mode. I can appreciate like the nuances of what Apple does. Like when they used to have part of their UI, they would call it aqua, and it was just more bubbly and shiny, but it was supposed to be more approachable, more friendly, inviting you to touch, whether it was the iMac G3 and want to engage with the interface itself. I want that type of intentionality on the future of computing, which is spatial computing. And what better way to do that than start bridging the gap on devices that you're already familiar with? The way skeuomorphism was about bridging the gap on items you're already familiar with, whether it's a clipboard or a pool table. Like that type of stuff helps you familiarize yourself with it. Now that we're pretty much all things digital and tech, start that transition with the easiest part, which is the interface of it. That's would be neat to see, even if it doesn't follow every iPhone down the road. Like if that meant like we had to do a clean cut on a certain iPhone that might deem too soon, rip the Band-Aid off, like rip the Band-Aid off, and then you gloat your whole like, oh, we promised 8 years, whatever support or whatever you want to do. I mean, that's up to you at that point. Do something that's like supposed to cement Tim Cook's legacy before he inevitably retires. That'd be a cool final redesign. Let him see. Like I oversaw the transition twice of our best selling product and how the things work, and yeah, that'd be neat. So yeah,
I like that you guys brought up Concept Central, because I didn't know that. I'm sure I knew that these ideas were floating around. I didn't know that there's people pretty much taking it into a video format and showing off the ideas, such as lock screen shortcuts, or utilizing the dynamic island more as a clipboard for a whole bunch of different photos that you want to send in a message, and being able to just to throw it from the Photos app into the island and then go to the Messages app and then just tap into the island and then bring the photos from there into the Messages or wherever else you want to put them. I think there's a lot of cool ideas that they bring to fruition that look very possible for the iOS team. And hopefully the iOS team is watching this person a bit more, so that way they can maybe scrape some of the ideas from them, because typically that seems like that's where a lot of things come about, is the community brings in an idea or requests something and shows how it can be implemented, and the company eventually listens, and pretty much just like what you said last week, Drew, with the whole sports app with I believe Peter. You pretty much were just Parker, thank you. Parker O. That's right.
Hello,
they pretty much, it seems like they just took his app and then refined it a little bit more in their Apple way. So
why does this never happen to me? Come on, Apple.
iPad
just
OS.
One day, do the exact thing I've been asking for 5 years. That would be fun if they just did it.
Insert Kylo Ren gif.
Okay, so I'm rewatching the concept of like what could be. The first two that caught my eye was adjusting the little toggles on your lock screen. That was what I thought was coming in what will later be iOS or iPhone XS. I thought that was going to get the custom, like, oh, you can adjust your toggles now on the lock screen, because so many different ways to get to the camera app, and the only one that I feel like is the most relevant is an action button. Um, that to me,
What about that capture button? Then we'll have 4 different ways to access the camera.
man,
Everything is a
so
camera button.
having a software version of a mappable button is, I felt like it is the most appropriate next stage that you would go to. The other one that caught my attention, besides the smaller widget one that can help do things, was right over the stacking in the photo albums. Like, you take multiple photos and you can stack them the way you can stack your desktop on Mac. I think is genius, because I have a lot of redundant photos, and it'd be cool to stack them, because they already give you an option to delete duplicates, and so they sort it out anyway in its own separate tab when you look at duplicates. But being able to stack your photos is just a cleaner way of looking at your photos. I'm indifferent about the multitasking window thing. I am the type of guy who blacks out all or deletes all the background apps. But by far, the one that Drew and I have been wishing for the most above anything else is Apple's versions of Dex. If I can have one device to rule it all, if there was a Dex support with now having USB-C, I don't care what the next generation of iPad would look like. The Dex support would now make it irrelevant. I'm effectively doing it right now. As I'm recording it on my 15, I'm USB-C plugged in right into my studio display right over here, and I have everything running. What cooler way to then just like have the brains be right there? It's possible. You could do it. It's the same chip. You can have effectively the same umph as these M1, which was A13X, which were way past in the pro department of iPhone 8 chips anyway. So I know it can be done, which is why we keep, put macOS on iPad or something. At least, and if not in a literal sense, give it the capabilities of macOS, because we know it has the headspace still. I don't have any room in my MacBook now to be like, oh, we can improve on this, improve on that. But all this headspace on the iPad Pro, it still doesn't feel like it's a dated device aesthetically, or even just in navigating to it. It's the applications that fall short. But applications be darned, you can make, I mean, so many people have their iPhone as their main computer anyway. So take it literal, plug it, have a little Thunderbolt thing to do its power push, and there you go. So I think if I could have one thing over anything else on iOS 18, it would not be anything generative AI. It would be strictly Dex support, or whatever they want to call it. That's all I would care to see, and I'd be like, that is an upgrade worth having. That's an iPhone worth upgrading to. If it requires a Pro model, all that would then completely have me put my toe between my legs and say I was wrong, But until then, iPhone 15. So yeah.
You have a tail? We're just now hearing about this.
Well, do you want to see it wag?
Oh my god. No. So Concept Central makes some amazing stuff. The danger in those concepts is that they really get your hopes up.
Yes.
And then it makes the real announcement even more of a letdown, because now you've seen
reality.
Right. Now you've seen what it could be, because it's all software, right? So watching it in a video isn't that different from experiencing it on the phone. So, and it's all possible physically. It's not like hardware where it's like, oh, can they manufacture it like that? Can they build it like that? And with software, it's like, oh no, they could totally do everything in that video, and yet they will probably ignore us.
Yeah.
Again. As the iPhone becomes more camera focused, I like the idea. I've seen some people hate this idea, so here we go. But I like the idea of the background being like a blurred color arrangement of what's behind the phone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Vision OS inspired, where it's kind of like changing as you are using it. Because I thought, wouldn't it be cool if you could, it should be an option, of course, but if you want your home screen background to be dynamic based on what you're looking at in the room. so it feels like the phone's kind of transparent. When you launch the camera, all the apps should just move to the side, and then the background sharpens, like slowly dissolves into the camera app rather than open it like all other apps. Just
I don't
because
know how I feel about
I
that.
feel like I knew Mike would hate it. I knew it.
I'm
Do you
very
know how I
much
feel about it?
everything fits into a certain bin. So it makes sense that when you activate the camera app, you open up the camera app, it has that transition, but it's a cleaner transition. It doesn't feel like you're fading from one to another. It's very much defined.
Okay. What do you feel, Randy?
I love it.
You heathen.
Thank you.
I do.
This will be so much worse for your battery life, by the way.
Yeah, it's running at all times, but so is all these other whether it's the LiDAR or GPS or like all these other things just kind of run. But the idea of having your background just kind of like, you know what it kind of reminds me of in a lesser version, because I think here's how you can protect the battery. The background is blurred, and like ambient mode on YouTube, it adjusts periodically to whatever is on the forefront. But likewise, like on Apple Watch standby mode or always on display, it's a 1 hertz refresh rate. So it slowly adjusts every so time. So if I had the thing right here and I'm looking, like I have my phone up the way I do right now, what you guys would see is a ring light. So there's a like a haloing effect that's happening. So that would kind of cause this white ring on my home screen. But then as I turn around and I do this immediately like this, it would still show it, but in a very brief moment from that point, you would see it then adjust again. And so it brings it down to 1 hertz the way always on display's on. And it doesn't, according to Apple, that doesn't hurt your battery. So you already have dynamic wallpapers with your, but you have dynamic widgets with your photo app. So, and that doesn't do it all the time. And my background changes all the time. I say background, but I use my home screen as like a bunch of different photo albums to look at, like my son and things like that. And I tailor them to adjust based off of like certain subjects. And so it adjusts every now and then. And when it does, that doesn't hurt your battery. And it's a dynamic widget. So a dynamic wallpaper is a thing, has been a thing since iOS 7. Mm-hmm. No one really uses it, but it is a thing. This is just an advanced version of that. So I love it.
I think it should be an option, not a mandatory thing. But if it was an option, I would use it.
So Drew, where did you get these images that you put in the Discord chat? I'm very lukewarm on them. You just found them on Twitter.
I looked up Vision OS iPhone because I know lots of people have done concept artwork of what I'm describing. I'm not claiming like I came up with this idea, but I liked. Here's a video actually.
I'm not too sure how I feel about the one that is capturing what Randy and you were trying to envision with the Vision Pro, like glass opaque, or I guess opaque, but frosted glass effect, where you've got the pretty much like almost as if you have the camera on and it's showing you a fuzzy background of it.
Kind of.
But yeah. I don't like how all the icons are gray, or I guess white, and then their framing and the negative space is just gray. I feel like we could do a lot better, or else everything just feels very monochromatic. And I like a little bit more color. I think I fit more into the camp of those.
I'm with you. I'm just trying to find backgrounds that do, like, look at Neil Sargent's video I sent. That has more colorful icons, but none of them do quite the transition I'm looking for. I'm not a concept artist, so I can't come up with exactly what I'm imagining. But like, I just like the idea of it being a camera, as it becomes more camera focused. That just becomes kind of like how Vision Pro is using all this advanced technology to make it feel like a transparent piece of glass. Like you see the eyes and you can see out of it, kind of bringing that immersion to the iPhone, but sort of like what Randy's saying, maybe you don't need to have it such a high intensive video feed, but if it's kind of a blurred, um, takes a shot every second or so, and it doesn't have to be a high resolution shot because it blurs it anyway.
I don't know how I feel about that from like a privacy point of view, where I could just be in the bathroom or I could be at work. It'd come down to pretty much what the always on display is, but a step in the wrong direction, in my opinion, because it feels a lot
always on camera.
It feels a lot more exposed rather than always on display.
That's fair.
You feel like, okay, the battery's being drained a bit from having the display always on, but you get that fluidity of you just tap on it and there you go. You're on either the lock screen or now your home screen. Where with this, it just feels like it's always videoing or trying to capture some image, and it's definitely going to be taking a big hit to your battery. And
probably
it'd be definitely for those that want to show it off in a video for a bit and or try it out again, but never be used again. So I don't think that would be.
So it's the same market as Vision Pro. You buy it for the YouTube video. That makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. What about you, Randy? What do you think of this Neil Sarge concept of always having your camera on?
Well, I haven't clicked on the link yet.
It's pretty much what we described.
It's opening.
He's
up
still scrubbing through last week's podcast.
No. You know,
He's
Randy,
trying to find other.
I hit something in the EV podcast. It's somewhere in there between the 1 minute mark and
for a single frame. He shows your address, social security, and everything, but you have to find it, and he'll take it.
So many different photos of you that I got last year when I was in Virginia.
You're worried about privacy concern, Mike? That's rich. What do I think? I like my idea more, which is why I came up with it.
Okay.
Every
Perfectly valid.
Bring it down to 1 hertz. Make a dynamic wallpaper. Adjust.
It can still be hertz when it's singular.
It's hertz.
No, I want it to hurt.
Yeah. The name is hertz, but okay. It's like saying one
watt.
No, multiple Teslas, I guess, but never mind. Watts.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Well, watts is.
It's one.
I'm not
hertz.
gonna argue this. Anyways.
Goody.
I just just take the idea of what you could do with a dynamic widget and put that as a wallpaper. Ship it. Done.
Ship it.
Ship it. It's done. I think I'm more excited, to be honest with you, about a new possible iPhone SE than I am iOS 18. I'm going to be completely transparent about that. Not because I'm in the market.
I hate to. Okay.
And I know it's not coming this year.
I just don't want to burst your bubble. Okay.
I know it's not coming.
All right.
But
that's how excited you are.
When the news was that we might be getting it ideally this month, that got me more excited than software, only because I'm taking my passions about a mini iPhone and I'm applying it towards now a budget iPhone. And how far can you take a budget iPhone and it still be supposedly, ideally, the cheapest one? And even if it wasn't the cheapest one, I think it'd be like one of the coolest ones. It might blow iPhone 15 out of the water. Not 15 Plus and none of the Pros, but just like for it being a thing that has
15 Plus ain't in the water. 15 Plus is still on the beach,
chilling, caking,
buried in sand.
I've been more obsessed with like just what doing more with less, and the iPhone SE has always been, in my view, or my interpretation of it, is a passion project. It was a passion project when they did it with the iPhone 5S, and then when they did it with the 8, and then the 8 again, and then the 8 again,
There's been so many 8 SEs. You're
very,
right.
very passionate. That like it turned me off on it because I'm like, I get it. If this was like 2018, I would have been like, okay, yeah, I see it. That's kind of cool. I see what you're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
iPhone competing with the iPhone XR. But now it's just like,
Hate
that's
that
it.
name.
I know. It's a dated design, and all things concerned with it, it's just like I want to see the end of a Touch ID on the front of the screen. Not to say that it doesn't have to be on the side. If they did the iPad way, that's cool. I don't hate that.
It's a good idea, actually.
It's a beautiful idea. There you go, Apple. That one's free.
Did
And
the 8 or X have the cameras on top of each other in a line?
yes,
The X did.
the X.
Okay. I call it the X.
So the 10 should have spatial video.
That's
Technically.
what I'm
So
saying.
That's how that works.
What I'm getting at is they might be able to get away with the SE4 design around what the 10 was when they do the 16s, right? Because it seems like they want to maybe go more in line with spatial video, which means you have to have those cameras in that configuration. So maybe that's when we see SE4 come around, because it'll be on brand with what the regular 16 will probably look like. And then I guess the Plus, if they're making the Plus again.
Which they will.
People love their pluses.
Boo.
From
Do
what
you guys-
I've read, the
ahead.
SE4 is supposed to just be single camera on the back. So they might just say, if you want spatial, screw you, spend more money, buy your mom an iPhone, you know. But I like the
I
idea
did.
of the. I just like the idea of a no nonsense. I will admit, an SE with an action button sounds very.
I don't think we're getting that until the iPhone 20s, Drew.
I thought next year. That's what I was hoping for, but
An
Not
SE
this
with an
year.
action button?
well,
Next,
the 16s are getting the action button, so
Those
it's-
aren't SEs, though.
Yeah, but
So it'd be at least like 4 or 5 years, right?
no.
not necessarily.
No.
They don't have to. I mean,
SEs get those upgrades more rapidly than at least my brain is.
It's been a few
contemplating
years
it.
since we had an iPhone SE update. So, if anything, they're now late. But
Right, but I was under the understanding. I was, from my understanding, I thought they basically reused the chassis of a iPhone from several generations back.
Correct. They do.
Even then, I say asterisk. The old chassis thing only happened when we kept seeing the repeat of iPhone 8. When iPhone SE, the very first SE came out, it immediately knocked down 5S, which was still in the lineup. When 6S had then taken over, you could buy the 6S or the 6. When that lineup came up, then they introduced the SE, thus giving it another cycle of that body design. But before the 6S was even announced, you could still get a 5S. So it wasn't considered dated. It was just different. It didn't have the Apple Pay contactless payment option, and it didn't have 4K for video recording. But other than that, it was basically the same phone. Then 8 came out, and really quickly before 8 became obsolete, they then introduced the second SE, which was in 2020. That's SE2?
Yep.
2020.
Yep.
By then, in 2020, same thing. They knocked off iPhone 8 from the lineup and brought in SE as the same thing. And then the first time we don't get that to happen would have been SE3, which people were thinking it's going to take the 10R design or maybe the iPhone 11. And it didn't. And it's stuck around and it's still here today. I think it moved past, and this is all speculative, of course, but I think it's moving past all the old chassis design because we have too much new things to put forward into it, including a new charging port mandated by the EU. So you have to.
Yeah, that kind of speeds up the process.
Yeah.
If you're going to be banned if you don't
So
put Type C.
So you think
Not-
it's going to look more like the 15 then?
I think it will. I don't think it will be as bright a display. It'll probably just have a single camera. I think the original reports were claiming it was more based on the 14, so it didn't have the rounded edges. It was more sharp, but it would still be aluminum. Probably wouldn't be frosted glass. And
in
but
3
I
colors
remember
again.
reading at least 1 or 2 reports saying that it was going to have an action button, and I was like, please, that would be amazing. But it's probably not going to be as cheap either. If it's an OLED display, that's still like a $500 phone.
Never mind USB-C all things, action button all things. Put it on the iPad. We got it on the watch and we got it on the phone. Put it on the Mac. Put it on Vision Pro.
The action button on the Mac.
Yeah.
On the side,
Yeah.
it's orange.
That's right.
It's like the
what
Pixel
does it
2
do?
all over again.
Whatever you want, it's an action button.
Activates the flashlight on the back.
It illuminates the Apple logo again. How cool would that be? I think next year
Wow.
that'd
There
be
you
neat.
go.
There you go. I'll find a way to make that happen. No,
I was thinking more like
Plays
Batman.
the sound.
I feel like next year's iPhone.
That'll be the AI button.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
Your dedicated
No,
Siri
no, no,
Bixby
no.
button equivalent. Yeah. That's
Sir
gonna go well.
Bixby Gemini.
Gemini 1U. Anyway, iPhone 17, also known as 2025, and iPhone SE4.
That's next year.
I know, but
Crazy how that happens.
if Gurman is to be, I think it was Gurman who said it. What that matter? Rumors to be right. I think iPhone 17 is going to be the iPhone that kills all competitors in its caught up state, if the rumors are true.
In what ways?
Why? Just because the refresh rate?
Refresh rate, action
Cost?
button, USB-C. I mean, just that right there. That's your
Two of those
trifecta.
things we already have.
I know, and people still lose their freaking minds about refresh rate, which means I've encountered people who have told me I won't upgrade, and I'm not going to pay $1,000, but I won't upgrade for some inferior display, and I'm like, you have like a MacBook Air, my guy, and you use a regular like monitor. Everything you're doing is, yeah. Hi, Mike. It was Mike. Mike was the one telling me this.
Raises MacBook Air.
Everything is 60 hertz. Everything is 60 hertz. Just one. I'm sticking with
You're
just
not
the
getting
single.
a
Oh my
reaction
God.
out of me.
Yeah. Oh, I'll do. I
Except
swear to
that-
God, I'll do the rest of the episode in Trump.
This is not that episode. This is
That's
not the
not-
episode
You're
where
not
Randy
that
was
guy,
Trump.
pal.
It was at that instant Mike knew he messed up. And now Randy would commit to his T-Rump impression for the rest of the podcast.
You're
Quite
not that
frankly, I am
Nope.
because I can't be kicked
We're
off.
saving that
Supreme
for a different
Court said
episode.
it. Supreme Court said I can't be kicked off the ballot. I'm doing great. iPhone 17 is
That's
going to be
fair.
the best iPhone since iPhone, believe me. And I've seen a lot of iPhones.
guy.
Okay, folks. I've seen plenty of iPhones, believe me. It's a lot of them. This is going to be the best. And I'll be your city president again and again. And I'll give one to Rosie O'Donnell.
You got to remember he likes the home button. Remember he tweeted about that.
And I'm going to make Tim Apple pay for it. Believe me.
Sad.
So sad.
I missed the home
Witch
button.
hunt.
I did.
Looking
I
for
did
the
wanna
home
bring
button is a witch hunt.
To
Where did it go? They
tangent
said, I
away
don't know.
from this. Tangenting away. I will say right now it is a bit stormy on the West Coast. Both me and Drew are
Stormy
seeing-
Daniels.
So, oh my goodness, everything's a reference. It is some inclement weather going on here on the West Coast as we're recording, and it has made me very appreciative recently of Starlink. And specifically, I'm using the Gen 2 Starlink that has a motor in it, where I believe, as of recently, was it the Gen 3 dishes are coming out that don't have motors, which I'm a little bit surprised by that. They're just getting rid of motors, but I guess that is something that they have to manufacture, and it might slow down the production lines. So
The
speeding up the
best motor's
production
no
lines,
motor.
pretty much, where you have to put on the roof and then go back down, and then a day later it tells you actually it needs to be tilted this way, rotated that way. Uh, so you have to get back up on the ladder again. But I have been very impressed recently with the speeds that I'm getting on Starlink, to where I was considering
Good.
a different internet recently, but ultimately did not go forward with entertaining it just because I'm getting consistently good speeds around 45 megabits and or higher. It doesn't seem like it's going down for download as much. And then uploads, for context, I guess a peek behind the curtain, since I've been editing the podcasts, it used to be it would take, I think, a day almost in some cases to upload the podcasts, in which now it's taking about roughly 12 hours. So it's cut it in half, which is pretty perfect for when we want to come out in the morning and I finish in the evening. So it just takes all night to upload, which for someone who lives further away from decent internet, unlike Randy, who somehow to be able to secure the best internet wherever he goes, I've been.
It's a gift, a beautiful gift.
He knows people.
I know a lot of people. Some people say I know all the people, except the fake news media and Starlink.
But yeah, so I have been enjoying Starlink a lot more, and I think the idea that they keep on improving it by sending that many more satellites up gives me a lot more reassurance than other internet providers who say that they're doing improvements to their network, but you don't really see it.
Improvements for them becomes more profitable.
Right, in which I'm sure that the costs will go up a little bit more with the amount of satellites that they're having to quite literally send up to orbit and then support with whatever services that they've got or personnel that are monitoring all of them and being able to avoid any incidents where they collide with each other and or avoid other spacecraft that are trying to go through the pretty much mesh network that they've got up there. But yeah, so far, I guess maybe this is like a year update on Starlink. It's been great.
It's been more than that, yeah.
And
it's been a minute.
I've actually gotten a lot more positive about it recently, where
Good.
Around like
I haven't noticed you cut out in a while.
That's awesome, honestly, mainly because it's pretty bad where I'm at, to where I sometimes worry about it. The dish isn't secured to the roof by any fasteners. It's just got some sandbags holding it
it's
down
on the neighbor's
metal
roof
mount.
now. That's why its performance has gotten so much better. The wind took it onto the neighbor's house.
Well, I do
It's
some
like, wow.
I do perform some speed tests on it, either during inclement weather where I think it's not going to be a good speed test, and it turns out amazing, even though there's a whole lot of leaves and rain and other stuff going on. But yeah, it's been impressive, in which I'm very interested in seeing how much more either congested and or freeing they can get with the service, and maybe some other packages that they might be able to offer in the future for faster speeds, which I believe they already do now. But a little bit more competitive pricing here in the US would be appreciated. Which
you can buy a whole tower, a whole receiver. It's only like $5 million a month or something. I think it's a pretty good deal.
A tower of dishes?
No, it's like the circular one that.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. The spherical communications dish thing.
Yes.
I forget what that's called. Yeah. That would I'm good. I don't think I need that type of connectivity. But being able to do what the dish can they've got right now is something I'm more interested in seeing with the developments in the future, with whether they continue using or updating the aligning tech in it with the motors, or if they just ditch it outright and they end up just treating it like a Gen 3 dish.
Yeah, there might be enough satellites now that they can treat everything like a Gen 3 dish. It's like, is it pointed up? We're good. Sounds fun.
Right.
All right. Well, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Randy?
Randy isn't here, folks. Sorry. Not here, Mike.
He's trying to act impressed by 45 megabits when he's over there with his fiber optic. All three of us have different internet like technologies. It's interesting.
And yet sometimes
we
it's
know
still
which
hard
one
to
is
get
the
a
best.
podcast recorded. It's phenomenal.
You broke a little at
Sounds
the end there,
good.
Trump.
See you next week, all. Bye-bye.
Bye. The biggest bye. Bigger than the biggest bye. Goodbye.